We're coming on.
All my screens.
All right, welcome to the June 8th, 2021 Newmarket Planning Board meeting. Good to see everybody in person after all, what's over a year. Crazy. All right, let's start with the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, and justice for all. All righty, first on the agenda is public comments. Are there any?
Can you explain why we're seeing these on the screens? Is there any
There's-
Zoom going on, or?
There's a guy online, looks like, on the screen. Are we open for Zoom?
So it
Oh.
is,
This wasn't advertised as a Zoom meeting. Well, he's one of the applicants, so we need to,
Yeah,
we
yeah,
need to hear from him.
yeah, absolutely. We'll leave it on. It is on Zoom. No, that's good to know.
But it wasn't
wasn't
advertised.
noticed.
Understood, understood, understood. Back to public comments. I didn't see anybody get up for public comments. All right, I'll close public comments at 7:03. And next on the agenda is approval of minutes
May 11th.
of May 11th, 2021. Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the May 11th, 21 minutes. As
Thank you,
Right.
Bill. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. Motion passes
I will represent
unanimously. Yes, Mikhail will abstain.
those movies.
No.
Nope. No, because it's not a Zoom meeting.
Alrighty. Next on the agenda is North Point Realty, Inc., continuation of a public hearing for an application for subdivision at 258 Wadley Falls Road, A and B, tax map U4, lot 68, the R2 zone. Proposals to convert the existing apartment units into condominiums. At this point, I will recuse myself and leave it to Val.
Great, thank you. Is the applicant here?
I am.
Land surveyor's here, and he's online.
Yeah. Mikhail, I'll have you, sit in for Eric, please. Me voting. Applicant, you have the floor.
Is the microphone working? Paul, can you hear us?
I can now, yes. Hi.
Hi, how are you?
Paul Ramirez with North Point Realty. I'm located at 205 Alton Mountain Road in Alton Bay, New Hampshire. And Brenda Colbo is from TFM is representing our interests, and I believe that she's there at the meeting.
Yep. Correct?
Yeah.
We had at our last meeting, there was questions in reference to site plan information, which Brenda has been able to clarify, I hope, for everyone's interest in that regard. There was also a question about a driveway permit from the DOT, which we have been able to resolve, and it's just awaiting signature. During the course of the plan document, there was a notation of the shoreline protection line had been encroached by a deck. I fall on the sword for that one. I had, one of my associates, one of my employees had actually did a design change and didn't realize that it had crossed over. So we are currently in the process of an application for that shoreline protection encroachment. what I guess I'd like to do is I'll turn it over to Brenda, but the intent hopefully is to be able to satisfy the other questions that the board had and get a conditional approval based on the approval of the shoreline protection permit.
We didn't accept it for review.
The application has not been accepted, it was incomplete.
We need to do that first.
So do you have any comments, or Diane, as to completeness of the application?
Actually, I've been working with Brenda and the applicant weeks, and I've had some input from Bill Doucette. Thank you for your feedback, Bill. I think we're at the point now.
Diane, can you put your mic down, please?
I think we're at the point now where we have substantially addressed all the checklist items, so the application can be accepted for technical review. There are a couple of additions that need to happen as part of a conditional approval, and we can take those up at a later point. But yes, this is ready for technical review at this time.
Do I have a motion to accept the application as substantially complete?
I'll make that motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Jane. Any discussion from the board?
So one comment, the copy that's on the online agenda is different. This one says it was revised June 8th, so is there?
This
Do you have
is
any
the one that was revised today, and
Okay.
that's,
So
if you
is there
recall
any-
at the last minute, at the last meeting, I had a memo at that point,
Mhm.
and I didn't go over it because we didn't accept it.
Yep,
So I have taken this and I have amended it based on new information,
okay.
okay?
So is there any substantial change online?
So we'll accept the application as being complete, then we'll open it up to actually hear the application.
Okay.
So the completeness of the application relative to, does it hit all the check boxes of what is required
Okay.
before we discuss it from a
Okay,
technical standpoint?
understood.
I'll take a vote. All those in favor
Aye.
of the motion?
Aye.
Jeff? Okay. Anyone opposed? Anyone abstaining? Okay, motion passes. Hey, Scott, yes. I think
We have
you got a
Neil
name
here. That's
tag
okay.
over there. Any questions for the applicant?
Do we wanna ask the applicant to do a general, just a general, you don't have to get deep into details, general overview of what the application is?
Good evening, I'm Brenda Cobble of TS Brand, and I'm here on behalf of our client, Paul Rabinius of North Point Realty. We understand that Mr. Rabinius submitted an application for subdivision and appeared before you last month, where it was found that the necessary components were not provided. Following that meeting, Mr. Rabinius reached out to us, and it was determined that he needed a condominium site plan and floor plans. We then went on site and constructed features and used our previous survey from last year to develop a condo site plan and floor plans that you have now. So we are here now to move forward with the application for subdivision for a condominium conversion. This property is located at 258 Wadley Falls Road and is in the residential R2 zoning district and partially within the shoreline protection zone due to the Piscassic River. In June of last year, we were granted a variance from the zoning board to allow for the construction of a duplex in the R2 zone where duplexes are not permitted. Since then, the duplex has been constructed and is ready to be put on the market. With this being a multifamily dwelling, we need to convert the ownership into a condominium. Before you, you have the condominium site plans and floor plans. This here is the condo site plan. It shows the units, common area, and limited common area. We have the Unit A on the left side, Unit B on the right side, and the limited common areas go around the respective parking areas, decks, and bulkheads. And then the rest is common area. We also have an inset shown on the top right that shows the total boundary of the lot. The next sheet is is the layout of the basement on the left, then the first floor, and then the second floor, and then below, there's the elevation view, which shows the vertical boundaries of the units. One thing that I did want to address, which Paul talked about, was the encroachments in the shoreline zone. When we did our proposed conditions plan, the deck was proposed to be in the rear of the building, but at some point got moved to the side. And there's also a small sliver of the parking area that also went over into the shoreline protection zone. Once we were made aware of that, we started working on a shoreline permit for DES, and we'll be submitting that as soon as possible.
Brenda, I'm passing around a plan showing in orange, the areas where the encroachment has occurred, just so everybody can
Okay,
be
yeah.
aware of where we're talking about.
Yeah, so the deck is like 128 square feet inside the zone, and then the parking is 70 square feet. But other than that, that's all I have, and I'll take any questions that you have.
Does your encroachment of that actually meet the threshold for acquiring a permit?
Yeah, since it was an after-the-fact realization, typically you'd be able to do like a permit by notification because it's such a small area, but since it was already constructed, we have to do a full shoreline permit.
So it's the shoreline permit you need, it's not the fact that it's encroaching, right? It's just to get the
It's in-
permit for, yeah.
Yeah.
Does anyone have any questions for the applicant as to the plans, Bill?
So shoreline wise, is there, I understand there's a DES application. Does anything impacted relative to Newmarket shoreline zone?
No, cause ours is, just the
Based on the-
structure setback.
Okay, so no, okay, great. And is this property, does it have a septic system or is it municipal sewer?
Sewer.
Right. That's all I have.
Any other questions from the board to the applicant? Is there anyone here from the public hearing now? No one here from the public? I'll close the public hearing. Diane, you had some comments or?
Yeah, I won't repeat what Brenda has reviewed. Most of it's in the background section of my memo. There is a memo I prepared, revised today's date, June 8th, 2021. And as far as the status of the application, there have been substantial changes made since our last meeting. Did you see this?
Yeah.
Okay. Kelly? And we've made some revisions to the plans addressing wetlands, floodplain, shoreline protection, survey data and dimensions. And with those changes, at this point, the application is substantially complete. One of the things that came up in some discussions that I've had was whether or not the information that's in the insert or inset map is sufficient to be able to identify. If you'll notice, there is information on floodplain, the zone A and zone B, zone X. There was some information added showing monumentation on one side. The size, the scale, if you will, of this, which is 1 inch equals 200. It's kind of busy and there's a lot of activity going on in that small little square. And I guess that begs the question of whether we'd like to see that maybe on a larger plan
Yeah.
or
So-
blown up on a smaller plan so that we can
Looks like she may
have
have
that.
prepared one.
Well, this is our existing conditions plan, or actually proposed conditions plan from last year when we
Right.
went to zoning. And see this line here, is the extent of the buildable area. So all the rest of this back here is either wetlands or buffer. So there's no developable area, nothing proposed back there. So we felt it was okay to do just a,
Okay. And the plan you submitted last year did show the floodplains on it.
yeah, and I
and the different zones, but they've changed since then. So that's why we wanted to get that updated.
And we did get that on your, after we got that comment. It's this dotted line here.
Yeah, 'cause this is not the current plan.
No.
I have
This-
some 11x17s I can.
Oh, that's good.
as a-
That'd be great, yes.
I have,
So relative to the inset and its scale, if we could have that existing conditions plan put in the planning board folder, fine, I think you've got backup, you have a way to look at it. I think that's great.
It doesn't show the high water mark on the plan.
On the existing conditions it may.
Does it show the,
Does the existing condition plan show what is in the inset?
yes.
it does, including the high water mark? The reference
Yeah,
line?
this high water mark is just the,
Oh,
Well,
okay.
and also specifically the zone A and X. Is that in,
And,
the floodplains are in the existing condition plans?
right,
yeah, and on, and that
And-
inset now.
Yeah.
And they're
We
the
need to-
current, sorry, and they're the current floodplains that were just adopted.
okay, so you changed the existing condition plan to include the 2021 maps.
I have not done that.
Okay, so that needs to happen,
But yeah,
okay. Just so that anybody going in the file knows what we're referring to.
Ryan, were there any significant changes in 2021 maps, like compared to previous ones in floodplain?
I'm sorry, I
Can
didn't,
people speak up?
can you
Yeah.
speak up
Yeah,
a
so
little
were there
bit?
any significant changes in, in
Yeah, there
compared
were.
to they were?
And I have a listing of 500 properties in Newmarket where there were changes, and I'm happy to share that information with you. And there is a way to correlate between the old and the new maps, and you can do that online. But I'm happy to share that information if you'd like to review it.
Bill, are you fine? I'm fine with the inset. It's showing the,
As far as the flood zone, I have no issue, cause
Yeah.
it's a,
it's a
it has
FEMA
zero
map
impact.
anyway.
Has zero impact. The jurisdictional lines, I'm just used to seeing the basis of what those are offset from on the plan. And in this case here, you can't really see it, but if we get a copy of that existing conditions plan, just put in the planning department's folder, you don't need to record it. Hey, we're live. I'm fine.
Okay.
So just to be clear, the existing conditions plan shows the Piscassic River high water line and the structural setbacks to that
correct,
line.
yes.
Right. And it shows the new floodplain
It will.
maps.
Will.
It will, and reference correctly the
Correct.
2021.
Yes.
Okay, that's fine. I just want to make sure we're all on the same page. Thank you.
Diane, do you wanna go through your conditions of,
Yeah.
your recommendations?
Yes, I'd be happy to. What I would recommend is that the planning board approve the application this evening with the following one, that monumentation be provided on all corners of the primary lot, which is a 5.2 acre lot, as required by the town subdivision regulations. I think this is a land surveyor regulation, Bill, correct me if I'm wrong, the next one on my list.
Yeah.
And RSA 356, which is the state's condominium law, which dictates what needs to be on the condominium and the site plan for recording purposes. So that's the first. The second is that a note be added to the plan stating that the jurisdictional boundary from which the setbacks were determined, that was based on a surveyed line. Is that the
Yeah.
correct way to say that?
I have no problem with that.
Okay, thank you. And we talked about this, Brenda, that the soil scientist certify and stamp the plan and sign it
Yeah,
before the
it'll
recording?
be a wetland scientist.
Okay, that's fine.
That's not a problem.
And then, this is just the next one is to memorialize, if you will, your due diligence in going back to DES after the fact
Oh,
and
yeah.
trying to get things resolved with them. So basically, we just wanna make sure that, they don't view it as an encroachment or a violation that might, be a problem for the, going down the road. And 5, that the legal counsel of the town review the condominium documents. I did talk with their office this week, and they promised me that they would get something back to me by the end of the day on Thursday, so hopefully that will work with your schedule. I know you're anxious to move this process along. The 6th condition is that you consult with the town assessor and our E911 coordinator to make sure that it's using the correct protocols for tax map numbering and also for addressing. And the 7th condition, that it be any fees that are due to the Registry of Deeds and to, under the LCHIP program, be
Okay.
satisfied at the time of recording, including the recording of the condo docs. And the applicant actually asked me about that earlier this week, so I wanted to make sure that he understood what I was talking
Does
about.
the town do the recording, or do we come pick it up?
Up until recently, the Registry of Deeds was closed to the public. I don't know if that's still,
The town
The
does it.
town does the recording.
the town does the recording, but there was another protocol where we had to send
To
in the
mail 'em.
plans and put it in the mail.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that's still the case or not, but yes, for the plans. But not necessarily the condominium documents.
Okay.
And then, go ahead, Bill.
Diane, I don't fully understand item 6. Is there a new lot being created that you need a tax map lot number for?
There's a unit.
Yeah,
I don't
Bill
know how-
add,
They'll identify it as a, for
I don't know
tax,
how-
yeah,
lot 68 dash
Yep, I get it.
A and dash B is how they do in the condos.
makes sense.
So we'll have, because they'll have
But I
distinct
don't-
tax cards.
And also
then item
911.
3, I have absolutely no qualms whatsoever that the wetland scientist did that, just so you know, our regulations say certified soil scientist.
So they need a waiver from that.
Well, we should change that, because certainly a wetland scientist
Can
is,
delineate a wetland.
can delineate a wetland, so. Something to add to our long list of changes that we need to make. So I think we're all set on that. So here's my recommendations, thank you.
Are we good with not doing a waiver to that? Do we typically have from the town for the condominium plans, the revised tax map and lot numbers for reporting? Reported plan,
I don't know,
prior to it being reported?
we just wanna make sure that the protocol that is used is what's established by the assessor and also by 911.
Okay,
That's
well,
the
that will be for the address. And then then the other addition was that the other recommendation that we came to would be existing conditions plan B, update to reflect the 2021 FEMA floodplain maps and included with the plan set to be on file at the town office. Correct?
Yes.
Okay. Would anyone like to make a motion as to the effect of accepting this application as presented, subject to the conditions relative to the staff recommendations and the additional one that I just read?
I'll make a motion to approve this application with the conditions as stated.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion on the motion? Okay, all those in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed? Anyone abstaining? Okay, congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Good job.
Thank you, everyone.
Next item on the agenda, I think the chair will be back. We're missing the chair. Next item, Cheney Jr.
He's coming now.
And Cheney Property Management Corporation, CPMC, public hearing for an application for a site plan and special use permit for a mixed-use development. The proposal is to amend the site plan for the previously approved site plan. The owner has purchased an additional adjacent lot and is proposing to add 17 residential units to the project for a total of 28 units. The project involves the construction of 2 buildings. One building is a 3-story mixed-use structure with 13,388 square foot footprint, with commercial uses on the first floor and residential units on the second and third floors. The second building is a 2-story building with 4 residential units with garages on the ground floor. The lot is located at 50-56 Exeter Road, tax map view for lots 11 and 15, both in the M2A zone. And welcome back, Mr. Chair.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I need to step out on this one.
Okay. So Mikhail, I'll appoint you to sit in for Mr. Doucette. Okay.
Thanks, Val.
So first, we need to go through and see if the applications are complete. Do you have a recommendation, Diane?
Yes, since our last meeting, the applicant has made quite a bit of progress in meeting all the requirements, not only for the site plan, but also for the special use permit, which required a fiscal and a marketing study. And I have gone over the application, and there are a few changes, and Mr. Siebert has been very responsive and has provided us with that information, including a checklist now that we have for special use permits, so that as we review the permit, we know what the criteria is by which it's supposed to be reviewed and approved. So with that, I would recommend that the board accept the application for a technical review, and that would be my recommendation at this point.
That both applications?
Both applications,
Okay.
yes.
All right, so does anybody have any questions on the site plan application?
As far as completeness.
Yeah, as far as completeness goes? All right, hearing no comments or questions, I'll entertain a motion to accept it as complete.
I'll make a motion that we accept the packet as complete.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second?
Is there any discussion or questions concerning the completeness of the site plan application? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
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 All those opposed say nay. Motion passes unanimously. Next is the special permit application. Is there any questions about the completeness of that? Hearing none, or special use permit. Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to accept that as complete.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Aye. I'll second.
Any discussion, questions about the completeness? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion passes unanimously. So with that, I see Mr. Sievert is here. Do you want to just walk us through? This is an application I'm sure we'll send to TRC, but if you want to walk us through, especially there's some new members here, maybe the changes between this and the previous approval and whatnot, please?
Yeah, I see that, I brought my computer to share a plan, but I see that, I guess I can't do that tonight. So,
Oh.
hopefully you have the plans.
We have the plans right here.
I have the plans here.
Yeah, and they are in the agenda as well.
Yeah, they're on the agenda, anybody that's online. I've looked through them, so if you guys want to share these, feel free. Do you want to put them up there? Do you think they'll stand up on the Christian's tripod?
He can attach them, right? Yeah, that'd be great.
Oh, yes.
You have an HDMI port?
Yeah.
Okay.
What's that?
We can put right on the.
Oh,
Perfect.
That's even better.
You're the man, Tim.
yeah.
So, during this process, Diane, the applicants have not been submitting like, hard copy packets yet?
Well, we haven't, because this is the first meeting we've had, and we
No, no,
didn't.
have the applicants in their applications been submitting the required number of hard copies?
No, and we
Okay.
need to clarify that, because for a while there, we were just doing everything
So they
electronically.
were just getting them to you
And-
electronically?
And what's the board's thought on that? Do you wanna continue to get hard copies and?
I do, yes.
Okay.
Does anybody else want hard copies of future applications and material and stuff?
Yeah, I think it's.
Yeah,
it's
because,
useful
I
to
mean, this
review.
is not a secure network that we're on, if you even
Right.
bring a
Yeah.
computer.
What that means is you need to come to town hall to pick them up. Their mailboxes for future planning board members. And the plans, when they come in, are put in the mailboxes, and it's, whenever the town hall is open, you can come in and
You a
pick 'em up.
computer guy?
Okay.
No.
That's what I was
No.
thinking.
I think we're gonna get a cord here.
Okay,
Okay.
we'll wait a few minutes.
Okay, thank you.
While we're waiting, do we want to skip down the agenda to new old business appointment to SRPC? My understanding is that,
We have received one letter of interest from Peter Nelson, who used to be on the planning board. He has been serving as a commissioner for, I think, 3 or 4 years now. So he would like to continue and has asked if the planning board would endorse his appointment.
I certainly endorse his appointment. He's been doing a good job.
And you're the guy that makes the appointments.
Anybody have any comments? Anybody?
Support it.
All right, you changed my mind. I support it.
I have a tendency to do that to people.
All right, that's excellent.
Are there any other committee, or commission appointments that are outstanding?
I think at the last meeting,
Is it
or
need
not
that
the last meeting, the meeting in March perhaps, or April, Jeff had volunteered to serve as the Conservation Commission liaison.
Yep, into the meetings.
And I'm trying to think of.
I think we're good with everything.
Eric,
I'm on.
I think you're on the CIP.
Yep.
And Jane,
Jane's a-
again,
I'll
you're
do
on
the
the
alternate.
CIP.
All right, so while we're waiting for this, we might as well be as efficient as possible. The chairman's report, I have nothing new to report, other than welcoming everybody back. Anybody have any committee reports?
I could comment on Neil Mill Road.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
So, the planning board sent a
Can
letter.
you take the microphone over, Scott, so that it gets picked up for the,
So the planning board sent a letter to the town council, and the town council also received a letter from the Newmarket Conservation Commission. And the Conservation Commission strongly opposed allowing the road, and they recommended converting it to an A1. And they did so, they felt so strongly about it that they individually signed the letter, which I thought was, they think was, pretty exceptional. For town council to vote on it, the applicant actually has to apply to town council. So the town attorneys are working with the applicant, and we are going to have a vote in the July town council meeting. It's going to be a simple up-down vote. There will be no public input. There will be no discussion. There will be no, third parties involved. It'll be simply, does the town council want to, approve this and send it back to the planning board, or do they want to not do it?
And we did receive a letter today from the applicant's representative requesting that it be represented to the town council.
Okay, great.
And Steve Horning was waiting for that.
Right.
It's a deadline tomorrow at noon, so I think we're covered on that.
Yeah.
So we'll go through the first and second reading process.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right.
All right, excellent. At least it's moving. No other committee reports? We'll
I
go.
would have simply reported that we drafted a letter. Scott has covered it.
you got your report in.
All right, I guess we're back to public hearing. Mr. Sievert?
Should I take this over there?
Sure.
It doesn't work. It's not working.
Okay. Sorry about that. I'm used to Zoom, and I like it better, actually. Nowadays. So I'm Mike Siebert. I'm with Horizons Engineering now. Still right here in Newmarket, but even though it says MJS Engineering on this plan. So this is the amended site plan right here. What has changed is a third floor is added to this building. The footprint of the existing building didn't change at all. And then there's this new 4-unit building out back, which is, this is Route 108 right here, and this is the railroad tracks at that parallel line right there, which is the railroad property that goes out through there. So that's out behind what would be the gas station when you're going down Route 108 there, up on top.
Excuse me, Mike, what plans set are you on? What page?
C1.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah. I'll try to stay on C1, make it easy. Change is Walter had added the what was called the town lot previously, which was this little sliver here, and then the larger change is this portion of the railroad property that was purchased about a year ago, and it's about 3/4 of an acre that was added, and that lot, the 3/4 of an acre, was merged with, I believe it was lot 15, and I think I listed lot 15 and lot 138-1, and I think the tax maps at the time must have still said that. So I don't, maybe it's all lot 15 now,
It's all
but
lot
regardless,
15.
there's 11-2 and 15, I think, are the two lots, so
Because we had a boundary adjustment in February of last year.
that's right.
We
Yeah.
haven't updated the tax maps yet.
Yep. So that added all of this property. It added, like I said, about 3/4 of an acre was the railroad property, and I don't remember what the town property was, but a 1/4 of an acre or less. So somewhere around an acre. It's about 4.85, 4.9 acres now. Gets us up to about 28.5 or 29 units, and the proposal is for 28. So 12 per floor in the original building, second and third floor, and 4 there. Those have a garage underneath with just single units up top, and these are just single units all inside the existing building. Up to about this property line right here, really the layout has not changed at all. The access road is still the same right here off of the Newmarket Business Park Road. There are 4 curb cuts on Route 108 that'll go away. 3 of them were going to go away last time, and now this one in the corner will also go away. So that'll clean all of that up, and then everybody will access through the Newmarket Business Park roadway. There will be some modifications to that roadway because there's an island out right there in the middle, which divides the traffic, but we're going to cross it to turn into there. That was the same as the last proposal. So what happens here is additional parking for the additional units. It actually gives us, this long, narrow lot gives us the ability to do a better snow storage, pushing all the snow out to here, out in trash. It was kind of tight up in here with the circular area. Now we can go around and pick it up out back there. And it changes the drainage design from what was done last time. Last time there was a large underground storage system under the parking lot, which worked fine, but it's sometimes a maintenance issues and so forth. Now there's a large stormwater pond out here, out in the woods, that'll be behind the railroad property and so forth. The remainder of the drainage system is unchanged, exactly the same right here. There's a rain garden over in this corner. That stays the same. There's some infiltration under the patio that's out here. That all stays the same. So there's really not that much change to that drainage. Utilities all stay the same. And that's about it. The building gets, of course, 1 story taller. And I think should have the full set of plans for the architecturals in there. And
Mike,
also,
do-
there's an architectural.
Excuse me, do you want to just quickly talk about, I saw a letter about waivers? No, please.
Yes, so I need, well, I thought I needed 2 waivers, and I think I need 3 now because of the scale.
Possibly, well, not the scale, the road setback, and we
Oh,
Well,
might
that's
need
one
to
of 'em.
discuss that.
Oh, so the road setback is a mistake. We made.
Okay.
That's, so I have this, setback right here listed as a 5-foot road setback. And obviously, it's off of the railroad tracks, so it's not the road. And it's a 10-foot setback, but it got somehow carried over as a 5 on the site plan. So, what happens is, this building will move 5 feet, to the west. This distance right here, the narrowest distance right here is 35 feet. So that'll still be 30 feet there. We have a 24-foot lane here. And this little snow storage area will just end up probably going, we're going to push it back to the back of that. So no real change in there. There's still enough room in here to make that happen. And I noticed that that's
Can you clarify, what's the sideline?
10 feet.
Okay, so you're moving the building to meet a 10-foot sideline setback.
And that parcel has no frontage on 108, so there's no front setback?
Well,
That's not
There's-
correct.
That's what,
Yeah, so there's,
well, it's, whatever's along 108 is the
yeah, I
frontage.
mean,
There is,
it's
And there's
debatable
the lot
whether
has frontage
On
there's
108.
actually frontage right here.
right.
The deed,
I don't want to get into weeds,
Yeah.
but I'm just saying, look at that, because if there is frontage on that, then you'll need the waiver for the front setback, right, to be more than the,
So if there is a front setback, it's right here, it's in the grass.
yep,
So I don't, there's,
Just for clarification, we're dealing with this as the lots being merged, correct? So this is gonna end up being one lot,
Yes.
and we'll be
At the end of the day.
seeing a
Okay.
front setback for the entire lot that is fronting on 108.
yes,
And then the side setbacks and the rear setback for the remaining portions
Yes.
of the single lot.
that's
Yeah.
right.
yep.
And there is, I got it right here, there's a few hundred feet of frontage, 398 feet of frontage.
Yeah, but the survey plan will show the actual frontage
Right.
along Route 108,
It
the
does.
boundary to 108.
Right.
Be the frontage of the
Right, and the other waiver is the larger building
Yes.
to be further away from the front setback.
Yes, and that's one corner of that building.
Yes.
So I think it's between 5 and 10 feet. So I think one corner, is outside of that, so 13 feet. But then the remainder of the building, 80% of the building is between 5.
Right, yep,
And then the other one is for parking.
yep.
And so we're requesting, a few less spaces over.
For the commercial piece. The residential, you meet the requirement, the commercial. And we had talked about that,
Yeah.
for those who weren't on the board, then we talked about that, geez, must've been 2 years ago now.
I was gonna say months, but.
Yeah, yes, okay.
Okay, so, not to confuse this, because I think the waivers is certainly, appropriate in line, but is this really a waiver from a site plan regulation or from a variance to a front setback?
It's-
Yeah, if
It's a
you
waiver because
recall,
it's in the M2A district.
right, if you
Okay.
recall, Val, we
Yeah, I'm sorry, just
set it up
didn't have
so
the
that
stuff.
you have road setbacks, side
Yeah.
yards, and front yards.
Yep.
And that's subject to a special use permit, so
So that's
I
part of
hate
that.
to say this, but we probably should get the paperwork out to make sure it's clear that it's a special use permit being requested for that setback.
It's part of the special use permit application
part
to
of the
get that setback.
Correct. Okay.
So, did we do that last time? I got the same waiver last time, so did we do it last time?
I would have to look up at that, but I think what we're saying is, are we going to act on the special use permit first,
Yeah.
and then the site plan? Because if you
Yeah.
need that.
That's-
Yes.
Usually that's what we do.
Yes, And to answer your question, I think we did, because I remember the conversation before about
Right.
having outdoor patio for display of goods or seating or whatever, so.
Yes,
But the
But
footprint,
all of
the
these
footprint
waivers were
hasn't
approved last
changed, or
time.
has it?
they were approved as waivers.
Has the footprint of the main building changed?
No. Well, yes.
Okay.
Slightly.
Right there, that entrance. But the overall footprint is the same except for that little entrance.
And is that entrance needing a waiver?
I don't think so.
No.
So we're amending a site plan, they probably are, I would think they already have the waiver. Why are we doing
Oh.
it twice?
We'll have to look back at the
Okay.
record and see
That
how
would be
it's
good.
written up. I don't
Makes
have
sense.
it with me this evening.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Seaver. Does anybody have any questions for Mr. Seaver? Anybody from the public like to speak?
Just, what are the other waivers? Just that one?
Parking.
The
Parking, number of parking spaces.
Yeah.
And I have the scale of the plan is that 1 inch was 30 instead of 20. Just because
Yeah.
it got so
Yeah.
long.
That's,
Someone check
that's
it.
fine.
Yeah.
Yep, that's fine.
Okay. In relative to parking, I think, just so that you're prepared, for going back almost a year ago now, in August, I guess, or more than that.
Yeah.
We have the right to waive parking for the commercial use,
Right.
Correct,
correct?
correct.
Yeah, so
And-
that's
Not-
And
but
their
not for the
calculations
residential.
right.
show that they have enough
Enough
parking for the residential.
and we'd be waiving for
Yes.
commercial.
Yeah, on one of those sheets, it has the calculations that
Okay,
says they
Right
have
on
the
this.
2 per unit for the residential, and they're asking for the waiver for the commercial.
right.
And I think, and obviously, like I said, we had talked about that a year and a half or 2 years ago, when it was a suggestion from this board that, you know, to reduce the impervious area, maybe you could live with less commercial parking.
Yep.
So, all right, I mean, I think at this point, I would like to, see who would like to volunteer for a TRC. Well, let me first ask, does everybody think this needs to go to TRC? Doesn't necessarily have to, but,
Well, I think that the major change, in my opinion, of the plan is gonna be the drainage.
That's right. Yeah, I got a letter from the police department that said they don't have any issues with it already, I think. But I haven't heard from anybody else, and we sent it to Underwood.
Yeah, and they were supposed to get something to me, but they didn't, so we'll move
Yeah.
that along for you. Mike.
Yeah, I mean, the drainage, still works, it's just a change, you know, now it's gonna go out, and enter the culvert under the railroad and go through Moonlight Brook that way, instead of going down Route 108 and enter into the, basin at the corner of, the gas station and,
Jerry Ave.
Jerry.
Yeah, I just think we should be looking at the drainage as to what's coming off-site in this amended plan versus what was going off-site in the prior plan.
Yep, it's less or equal or less.
Particularly into Moonlight Brook,
Yeah,
right.
which
Yeah.
I guess it all ends up there.
yeah,
So,
yeah,
And then he submitted traffic, and you did the fiscal analysis, so,
yep, I think we're set there. And I have there's a state permit, so the DOT permit is good for 1 year, so obviously that needs to be updated. And the, sewer, we've added, you know, enough units to exceed, so I'll have to amend that. The only other question I have tonight is, and just to put it out there, is this previous approval expires July 14th of 2021. And so I know I'm back here right before that, but it's only 1 week. And so I would probably need an extension, and I don't know if I can do that next time, if it's before the 14th, or
If it's-
tonight.
as long as it's,
You have to have it in writing.
as long as it's before the 14th, you'll be fine, right? I mean, him being on video wasn't sufficient. I mean, we have a log of it, I'm just, because if for some reason we don't have a quorum on the 14th, well, before the 14th, you're out of luck. We can't retroactively extend it.
We have in the past.
Okay.
I formally request it. On behalf of Walter.
We'll get it in writing from you, Mike.
I will get it.
Act on it at the
I will
earliest
do that.
possible time.
Mike,
And, and one thought that we had to avoid this coming up, it being a problem again, if you could consider when you approve this, or if you approve this, that maybe we could get longer than 2 years. And we don't have to talk about that tonight, or if you want to, but we would request that that would be extended for like upwards of 4 years or more.
What was the vesting point in order to vest the current, I mean, all the buildings have been
The
removed.
buildings have
This
been removed.
site hasn't been cleared, but.
I'll have to go back and see, I think.
Right.
But we don't have a signed plan. You can't be vested if you don't have a
Oh.
signed recorded plan. That's right in the statute, so. And I don't know why it was never.
So the plan was never,
It was never
recorded?
signed and it was never recorded. And it was extended. And I think it was
Well, we can-
because, they were in negotiations with the town on acquiring the additional land
Yeah,
and
I
so
think
forth. But
Well,
that's
right,
really
yeah.
important. It has to be a recorded plan in
Sure.
order to be vested.
Yep.
And that's right in the statute.
so we would just, the request is to extend the time for vesting, so that they can,
Yeah.
if they need to get that plan recorded.
right,
But,
okay.
um,
Anybody have anything else?
I think it'd be very helpful to submit, colored renderings
Sure.
of the buildings,
Yep, we can do that.
including landscaping.
Okay. Colored landscaping?
Is it gonna look like a railroad depot? Like the last
Uh,
Well,
one?
you've done some modifications.
Yeah, there's some modifications to it. And I think they did work on the color, so I will do that and show that.
Mike, do you have the, I think what was really helpful to the board, in an application before us for the industrial park was the drive-bys? Do you have that ability on your computer programs?
You, like a rendering from the street or something?
Like
Yeah,
a-
you put the color
Street-
plan on, it's a street view.
It's like a three-dimensional video,
Drive-by.
if you will.
It would be the
You know
architect.
Who,
Right.
Michael Keane actually did one for the industrial park, and it was really an effective tool.
Yeah.
Because
Okay,
It
I'll
all
look
gave
at
us a sense of what it's gonna look like driving by
By, yeah,
and
with
walking
the whole
by.
thing, the street and
and-
everything.
Sense of scale,
And it
yeah.
really kind of, brings it to a reality point that,
I think it will also possibly help you in that these locations of your proposed 4-unit buildings, how buffered that is,
Right,
if you're really out there.
sure.
Yeah, so, I mean, I definitely would recommend this go to TRC,
Yep.
particularly in the engineering drainage.
Yep.
Yep.
And
Do
then,
we have any volunteers to,
I'll have be one.
I'll volunteer.
Eric, Valerie, did you say you
Yep.
volunteered?
Anybody else? These are a lot of fun.
They
We're
are.
gonna meet in person, how
Better than sitting at
novel.
home in a Zoom meeting. Well, we'll just use the two of us for now. Yep, that's fine. All right, if nobody else has any other, does anybody have any questions for Mr. Sievert or anything else? All right, so I think we need to have two motions, one to continue the site plan public hearing, the other for the special permit. Anybody wanna make a motion?
I'm just trying to get our
It's the
date.
meeting in July.
Sixth.
Is it the 13th? Second Tuesday?
I think so, yeah.
Yes.
Make a motion, we continue the, application for site plan and special use permit for the mixed-use development at tax lot located at 50 to 56 Exeter Road, tax map U4, lots 11 and 15, in the M2A zone to July 13th, 2021.
Is there a second? Thank you, Jane. Motion's made and second. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All those opposed, say nay. The motion passes unanimously. Thank you, Mr. Sievert. Thank you very much. So Bill, you recuse yourself? Were you recusing yourself from that one?
He had earlier.
Oh, you had earlier?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, I didn't hear that, okay. All right, next on the agenda is Ken Bevins. There will be a public hearing for an application for subdivision to permit a two-lot subdivision consisting of one 3-acre lot and one 57.88 acre lot. The lot is located at 401 Wadley Falls Road, tax map R6, lot 1 in the B3 zone. Diane, do you have a recommendation as to the completeness of the application?
Yeah, there were a couple of things that I reviewed with the now, are you
I'm
the
Scott.
applicant?
Scott
You're
Franklin,
Scott.
yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Scott, for refreshing my feeble memory. You and I talked by telephone, and there were some items that we wanted to see on the plan, and I didn't.
And you had said not to submit those prior to the meeting.
Right, but you had agreed to provide them. I think frontage was one of them.
Frontage, that was
along-
already on there, we discussed that, was within the lot areas.
Okay. I had a spreadsheet here.
Wait, is your opinion is the application is complete?
Yeah, there was, I know, there was a reference to steep slopes and to the Class A watershed, which
Right,
is.
they were just a
was not.
carryover from the,
So, yeah, so long as those items that we talked about are addressed, and we did cut a check for you, I don't know, or for the
yeah, I
applicant.
can take it and get it to Ken.
I don't know if you received it or not, but, so, yes, at this point, I would say the application is substantially complete, and I would recommend it for a technical review by the planning board.
Okay, is there a motion to accept the application as complete?
So moved?
Is there a second?
Second.
Does anybody have any questions or comments, concerns regarding the completeness? Hearing none, all those in favor of accepting the application say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion passes unanimously. Thank you. Now we'll open up the public hearing. Good evening. Please introduce yourself, sir.
New Hampshire Land Consultants, representing Ken Bevins of 401 Wadley Falls Road. The current property is 60.89 acres. Currently, there's a slightly over 50-acre conservation easement on the property, leaving 10.83 acres out of the conservation easement. There was a survey prepared by Jason Pahopek in 2019. We are asking for a waiver from an overall boundary survey due to the fact that Jason provided that to the town in 2019. We submitted a copy of that. As Diane said, the property is located in Zone B3. It is also in the aquifer and the wellhead protection overlay, which is requiring us to do a 3-acre lot instead of a 2-acre lot. The proposed conditions, as I said, it's a subdivide off 3 acres with 180 feet of frontage. And there is still a little portion of the conservation easement on that lot. It's a 25-foot axis along the, I think it's the westerly side of the property. And the remainder of the conservation easement remains on the existing overall 57.88 acres and the existing house. We did perform a test pit on the property. It's all sand out there. That whole area is sandy. We do have a couple pending permits, state subdivision approval. There is municipal water out there, but we did test pits and there's no municipal sewer, of course. And then a DOT is pending. And as I said, we're asking for one waiver for a full boundary survey.
Okay, anybody from the public have anything to say? Don't all come up here at once. I'll close the public comment. I don't have to close the public comment period. Any board members have any questions, comments?
I have a couple.
Sure, go ahead, Jeff.
My first question is, note number 9. It says the proposed use of tax map R6 lot 1 will be residential. And note 8 says the existing use of tax map R6 lot 1 is residential. Should note 9 be 1-1?
Well, that would not
It's-
be permitted. That's a
It
business
is
zone.
not allowed in that zone,
That's a
to bring that.
commercial zone.
Residential is not allowed in it, so you would have to get a variance to be able to use the
Right.
new lot for residential use. And the zoning board has granted several of those within that area, so I
Yeah.
don't foresee that would be a problem for you.
Yeah, and at this point, I think we can just clean up that note a little bit to say, make it more clear.
Yeah, I
so
would,
thank you.
I
just
would
want-
not be comfortable approving that with that note, knowing that it's
No,
not
no.
permitted in the use. Yep,
Yeah, that's cool.
It makes sense to just remove the note.
right.
Right.
Creating is lot 1-1.
Yeah, dash one, yeah, that's why I wasn't
Lot
sure if
one.
you were intending one dash.
Right.
Yeah, so it's a grandfathered use, but it's
Right.
non-conforming.
I have a
Go ahead, Jeff, I'm sorry.
other question would be, and maybe it's apparent, and is the setback line shown?
Yes.
I wasn't sure, maybe it's just non-knowledge on my part, there's varying setbacks.
So,
I
Yeah.
think the only one shown is on the lot you're trying to create,
On the on the westerly boundary of it,
right?
where the conservation easement strip is?
right, that's a 25-foot conservation easement, so the setback is 25 feet, so it's right on top of that setback, or that easement. Well, actually, the side setback is 20
Because
feet.
you're looking at it on your phone.
It's within, oh, it's within.
Right, so
Yeah.
it's within, so we didn't
Okay.
show, we can add that if needed. But, I mean, because the building will stop at that easement, any building.
Go ahead,
No, go
Bill.
ahead.
Go ahead, Bill.
It's not really a question for you, I'm confused. There's a 25-foot side setback, there's a 50-foot side setback, and a 20-foot setback, all in the same area?
Because of the wellhead.
There's,
These
No.
are property line side
No.
setbacks.
Yeah, yeah, one of the 50-foot building setback.
right,
And then the next one over to the slope is up and down to the
Yeah.
east is 20 feet, and then on this, next to the conservation easement is 25? Is it because we have a zone line or something?
I believe it's 25 on that side, and the 50 is a variant because it's next to a residential use.
Ah,
Yeah.
So it's 50 feet instead of the 20 feet.
okay.
So we're showing on the commercial lot, the 50-foot setback to the residential use. It's not a setback to the zone, but a use.
According to the
That explains it.
B3 zone, 75-foot minimum road setback,
Yep.
Yep.
20 feet minimum rear and side setback, and height limitation of
Yep.
35 feet.
So maybe it's 20 instead of 25.
Yeah, it is 20. I misspoke on that. I don't think it says 25 on
Your
it.
easement's 25, so we should be able to see a setback on there.
It's within the easement, yeah.
I see what you're saying.
Oh, so Bill, what you're saying is the actual sideline setback is 5 feet into the
Yeah,
easement?
but.
It's with,
Right.
they
what
can't
the
build it, they
applicant's
can't build in
saying
that
is
5 feet.
He's
They
showing the most
can't.
restricted line.
Yeah.
Right, right. That makes sense.
Just one last thing.
Yeah, go ahead.
There's a shed with, like, right on the proposed lot line?
Right, that will be moved.
Should
It's-
that be noted on?
Yeah.
Yes. Yep. Yep. Does anybody have any other questions, comments, concerns? Go ahead.
Can I? Okay, I just have a question. I'm aware that the property has had a history of contamination, and there's a certificate of no further action from DES in the file. My question is, at one point, there was a lot of tires that were stored on the property, and I know the former owner was trying his vast due diligence to remove them. Very costly to remove tires and landfill them or whatever they do for solid waste disposal. What is the status of that right now? I know there were some letters and correspondence in the file to that.
Yeah, to be honest, I didn't know that. There is some stuff left on the site. It's walkable. I walked the property. But I'll have to check with the owner on where that stands.
But I assume that there's nothing on the, nothing within the area you surveyed, otherwise it would be shown.
Nothing.
Correct.
Nothing.
Yes.
Other than your farm.
Normal
you
stuff,
see on
yes.
New England properties.
Yes, yeah, okay,
Nothing that we saw.
right, okay.
I just am curious what the status of that cleanup was, because there was an agreement with the town that there'd be so many tires removed every year, and the DES,
Yeah.
solid waste people were involved in it. And
I will say there wasn't any big still out there.
But, yeah. Is that something we should have you talk to Mike about?
Yeah.
Because
It
really
isn't.
not
The town
our
doesn't
issue.
have jurisdiction, it really is a solid waste, it's a DES
Oh, okay,
issue.
okay.
Yeah.
As far as removing all the tires?
Yes.
Right.
So the town wasn't involved with that?
Well, we were in the sense that people were complaining about them.
No, you had mentioned town agreement. when you just, I think you just mentioned a town agreement to remove so many tires a year.
That's what I was told,
Yeah, okay,
Okay.
but I don't know what the status of that was. Maybe it wasn't a town agreement, maybe it was a DES.
So the real question is compliance with DES
Yeah.
permits, or?
There hasn't been anything recent in the file. No.
Okay.
The most recent goes back to, I think it's 2010 maybe, there
Unless-
is a
yeah.
certificate of no further action on file.
unless the state gets involved in their subdivision process, it's got nothing to do with us at this point.
They need to,
They will.
I think you said
They will be.
there
but
were
not
so many,
DES.
they were supposed to
Right.
happen a year, so that means there was a large amount of
There
tires
were a
there.
lot of tires there.
Yes, okay,
Yeah.
just wanna make sure I understood.
This
So,
was a
I mean,
junkyard
and
property at one
To the point
point.
where, you know, we talked to the former, I mean, it was, I think it was Ken Evans.
Ken
who we
Evans.
talked with.
Yeah, that's
About
who,
that.
who owns it.
Right.
Okay.
All right, so from what I heard, we need to have comment 9 removed from the plans. We can't approve a plan that says it's gonna be residential, knowing that residential is not a permitted use,
Right.
right? And there was one other,
So,
there's a waiver, right?
The removal of the shed?
Removal of the shed.
and also existing conditions, it wasn't just the boundary survey, because you
Right.
don't have topo for the whole.
Oh, correct,
Why?
correct.
Those are just the waivers, right?
Yes.
Right.
So the waiver is for section 410 A and B, site information boundary and existing conditions survey. They obviously, they don't wanna do the rear of the property, the remaining 50-odd acres.
Yeah, and what we did is we showed LiDAR in that area in topo and the boundary from the recorded boundary plan.
Okay.
And the water line on the street was the other thing that
Yeah.
we wanted to
Okay.
get information on.
So how's everybody feel about the waivers? Still, we have a boundary plan on record, I'm okay with the waivers.
No
Okay.
issues.
So I'll entertain a motion to approve the waivers.
So moved?
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion's made and seconded, any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. Motion passes unanimously. Next, if nobody has any more questions or comments, I will close the public hearing and entertain a motion for approval. I think with these 2 conditions, if you would, somebody would make that motion?
3 conditions?
3 conditions.
Removing note 9,
Yep.
note about removing the shed and showing the water main.
Yep. Is there a motion?
Yeah, I'll make a motion to approve the application for subdivision, permitted 2-lot subdivision consisting of 1 3-acre lot and 1 57.88-acre lot at 401 Waterloo Falls Road, tax map R6, lot 1 in the B3 zone, subject to the applicant removing note 9 from the plan. Adding a note that the shed on the boundary line will be removed, and including the water line shut off at the street.
Is there a second? Motion's made and seconded. Any discussion? Comments? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed? The ayes have it. The motion passes unanimously. Thank you very much. Good luck. Next on the agenda is Crommett Creek LLC, public hearing regarding an application for a lot line adjustment related to the 77 Hersey Lane Chinburg Development LLC project to provide the requisite 50-foot width for upgrading a portion of Class 6 Hersey Lane to a Class 5 standard. 2 small parcels will be conveyed to the town of Newmarket, one 464 square foot parcel and one 171 square foot parcel. The upgraded road will provide access and frontage for a conditionally approved 11-lot open space subdivision with municipal water sewer services. The Crommett Creek LLC property is located on Hersey Lane adjacent to Durrell Drive, tax map R5, lot 134 in the R2 zone. Diane, is the application complete?
The application is complete and has, Mr. Doucette, and I think
I will recuse as well.
Okay.
Jeff is.
So, Mikhail, you'll sit in for, pick whoever you want to sit in for.
I just wanted to explain to the board that this was in the original packet that was ultimately approved for the 77 Hersey Lane project, and it was an oversight. And I identified it in going through the developer's agreement, and the engineer agreed to come in with a plan. And we do have a letter on file. Mr. Cheney, Lane Cheney.
Yep.
Who owns the property that will be conveyed to the town.
Yeah, he's the owner of R5 lot.
Right, so, and our town engineer has signed off on the plan. So it was something that we should have approved in December, and it was overlooked, so
Okay.
we recommend that it be dismissed as quickly as possible.
So does anybody have any questions relative to the completeness of the application?
I'll make a motion to accept the application as complete.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Oh, we're gonna use Tim this time. Motion's made and second. Any discussion? Comments? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed say nay. Motion passes unanimously. So now we'll open up the public hearing. Good evening, Mr. Smith. Please,
Good evening, Mr. Chairman.
walk us through your project.
Absolutely, and just for the record, Christian Smith, engineer with Beals Associates, representing the applicant on the project. And try not to clap that thing shut. Yeah, and again, as Diane mentioned, I believe this lot line adjustment plan was provided to the town in early July 2020, and I think we all know what happened about 2 weeks later. So here we are. Hopefully this is just an administrative situation to correct a notice, what would have been a notice violation. Essentially, from Crommett Creek, Mr. Cheney is bequeathing 2 small sections of his property of map R5, lot 134, to create a conforming 50-foot right-of-way for the Class 6 portion of Hersey Lane. I think you're all familiar with the subdivision, or yeah, the open space subdivision that Chinburg has, as Diane mentioned, conditionally approved. One thing that is a change from the original plan is that Robert Saunders from Underwood said it would be just a cleaner situation if we put a flare on the right-of-way at that intersection. We don't have the opportunity to do so here, but we did go ahead and get Doucette to take care of that. So really, by and large, that's it. We do have state sewer connection or extension approval. We have drinking water approval from DES. We are done with alteration of terrain and just in the magic holding pattern with fish and games review. Fingers crossed that'll happen soon. I did give Diana, when we were corresponding via email, for instance, so for 70 Hersey Lane, the condos, we received approval from AOT on December 15th, and I don't think we got comments back until March 23rd. So it's just their backlog. They have one woman up there trying to do every application that comes through the Alteration of Terrain Bureau, and she's inundated. It's overwhelming. So in any event, there is the proposal, and again, I think we're just cleaning up an administrative situation, and I'll take any questions that you folks may have at this time.
So this is just this is part of what the town requested as part of the conditional approval, as part of that process, getting a consistent 50-foot right-of-way.
Correct. Yeah, and we were able to work with Mr. Cheney, and he was gracious enough to afford those 2 slivers to make that happen.
Yes. Anybody in the audience have any questions, comments, concerns?
Oh, I apologize. I should have introduced. Jeff DeShane is with us here tonight from Chinburg Properties as well.
Oh,
He's been
I
so
thought
quiet,
that
I
was
almost
him, but
forgot
I
he was
wasn't
back there.
sure. Hi,
Okay.
Jeff.
any board members have any questions or comments? If there are none, I'll entertain a motion for approval.
I'll make a motion to approve. I'm sorry, Tim, were you
Nope.
making that?
Yeah, I'm a little slower at.
No, go ahead, you got it, you got it.
I'll
Go
take
ahead.
this one. So, I'll make a motion that we approve the packet for, the updating the, let's see, or,
For lot line adjustment.
yeah, lot line
At
adjustment.
77 Hersey
For
Lane.
77 Hersey
Yep.
Lane. So, I'll make a motion that we, approve the packet for lot line adjustment for 77 Hersey Lane, as written.
Perfect. Is there a second? Seconded by Jane. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. The ayes have it. Thank you, Mr. Smith.
Thank you very much, folks.
Unless somebody has something that they just popped in their head they want to talk about, we've already gone through all the other items in the agenda.
No, Diane didn't give her planners report if there's any.
Any planners report? I thought that's right. Okay. We'll,
We will be meeting in the town council chambers for the next meeting.
okay, okay, good, good. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Just one quick thing, Diane, your staff did a great job during the work to make sure that we all had the paperwork and the notices. Please let the team know we appreciate it.
Yeah, good point, I second that.
I'm here for you. I second that, I do that.
Is there a motion to adjourn? Is there a second? Seconded by Jane. Any discussion? Anybody want to stay here any longer?
Well, I do like the
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say nay. Motion passes unanimously. Thank you very much.
Thanks
See you
again,
all
folks.
in a month.
Nice to see you all in person again.
Yeah.